He went from sleeping on a mattress in a tiny apartment to becoming one of the highest-paid stars on the planet. Dwayne Johnson's rise is the stuff of legends. From wrestling rings to red carpets, The Rock has built an empire powered by relentless hustle and unshakable charisma. But what does life look like now for this global icon? In this video, we take you inside Dwayne Johnson's extraordinary world, from his multi-million-dollar mansions and massive car collection to his private jets, fitness sanctuaries, and booming business ventures. We'll break down the milestones that made him a household name, his inspiring work ethic, and his jaw-dropping net worth in 2025. This is more than just fame and fortune. It's the story of how discipline, drive, and authenticity turned a kid with nothing into Hollywood royalty. Before he was The Rock, before the billion-dollar films and Forbes accolades, Dwayne Douglas Johnson was a kid navigating instability, identity, and expectation. Born on May 2, 1972, in Hayward, California, his journey began not in luxury, but in legacy, a legacy both empowering and burdensome. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a trailblazer, a professional wrestler who broke barriers as one of the first black champions in WWE history. His mother, Ata Maivia, came from Polynesian wrestling royalty, the daughter of wrestling promoter Peter Maivia. Dwayne's roots ran deep in the sport, but that lineage came with pressure and unpredictability. As a child, he lived a nomadic life, bouncing between states and countries depending on where his father wrestled next. He spent formative years in New Zealand, where he bonded with his Samoan heritage before returning to the US and experiencing life in North Carolina, Connecticut, and Hawaii. With each move came new schools, new challenges, and a sense of not quite fitting in. By age 13, the family faced severe financial hardship. At one point, they were evicted from their apartment in Honolulu. Dwayne would later describe the moment he watched his mother break down in tears as a defining emotional anchor in his life. It was the birth of his drive, the moment he vowed never to let that happen again. Despite the hardship, his size and athleticism started to attract attention. By high school, Dwayne stood 6 feet 4 inches and weighed over 200 pounds, a physical force who often got mistaken for an undercover cop. He also faced internal battles, frequent fights, brushes with the law, and a growing anger tied to feelings of failure and frustration. At just 17, he'd been arrested multiple times for theft, fighting, and check fraud. But even then, there were sparks of transformation. A high school football coach noticed his potential and intervened, steering Dwayne towards sports as a path forward. That lifeline changed the course of his future. Football became his escape, his discipline, and his gateway to opportunity. He earned a full scholarship to the University of Miami, joining one of the top collegiate football programs in the country. But his road there was anything but easy. Dwayne Johnson's early life was shaped by two things: hardship and hustle. He was the son of a legend, but he wanted to make his own name. The seeds of strength, perseverance, and self-belief were planted early, watered by failure, and rooted in a promise to never go back to those days of struggle. Dwayne Johnson's path to discipline, and ultimately greatness, was paved through the bruises, pressure, and purpose he discovered in education and athletics. While many know him for his physique and charisma, his intellectual and emotional transformation began on the fields and in the classrooms of Freedom High School in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. After a tumultuous early adolescence marked by arrests and instability, football became Dwayne's anchor. At Freedom, coaches saw raw potential in the towering teen who'd just transferred in. What he lacked in technical polish, he made up for with an unshakable work ethic. The gym became his sanctuary, the field, his proving ground. It was here that he first truly channeled his internal battles into physical form. Guided by supportive mentors, he started to embrace structure, learning that hard work could earn respect and open doors. His grades improved, his focus sharpened, and recruiters took notice. By his senior year, Dwayne was being scouted by top Division I programs. He ultimately accepted a full athletic scholarship to the University of Miami, joining the powerhouse Hurricanes football team in the early 1990s. He played as a defensive lineman under legendary coach Dennis Erickson, alongside future NFL stars like Warren Sapp. While injuries and deep roster competition prevented him from becoming a starter, his time at Miami shaped his character more than any trophy could. He trained with intensity, studied the game with discipline, and formed lifelong bonds. He also earned a Bachelor of General Studies in Criminology and Physiology, a degree he proudly completed, even when fame later tempted him away from the classroom. Off the field, Dwayne was deeply influenced by two things: his father, Rocky Johnson, whose career showed him the highs and lows of professional wrestling, and his cultural heritage. Both his Samoan and Black identities shaped his worldview, rooting him in traditions of perseverance, family, and honor. It was in these college years that the spark of something bigger began to form. The dream of the NFL was fading, but another idea, one rooted in charisma and crowd energy, was growing louder in the background. The world didn't know it yet, but The Rock was about to be born. When the NFL dream faded, Dwayne Johnson faced what he's called his rock bottom. After a series of injuries and being cut from the Canadian Football League's Calgary Stampeders in 1995, he returned home with just $7 in his pocket. No job, no plan, just a crushed ambition and the echo of a childhood promise: I will never be broke again. It was in that moment of stillness and loss that a new path revealed itself. Wrestling had always been in his blood. His grandfather, Peter Maivia, and father, Rocky Johnson, were both legends in the sport. Still, Dwayne resisted the ring for years, wanting to forge his own identity. But with football behind him and no clear direction ahead, he reached out to his father and asked for help. The rest is history. In 1996, Dwayne entered the WWE, then WWF, under the name Rocky Maivia, a tribute to both sides of his family. Fans, however, didn't take to the clean-cut, smiling babyface character. Chants of "Die Rocky Die" and "Rocky Sucks" rang through arenas. For a man used to winning with sheer effort, the rejection was jarring. But instead of folding, Dwayne adapted. He reinvented himself as The Rock, a cocky, charismatic heel who called himself the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. His eyebrow-raising catchphrases, lightning-fast wit, and undeniable mic skills turned boos into roars. The persona exploded into pop culture with iconic lines like, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" and "It doesn't matter what your name is." From 1998 to the early 2000s, The Rock dominated WWE. He won numerous championships, headlined WrestleManias, and became one of the company's most bankable stars. Alongside Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker, he helped usher in the Attitude Era, a golden age of wrestling entertainment. More importantly, Dwayne had found his voice, and the world was listening. By the early 2000s, the crossover into film was inevitable. Hollywood had taken notice of the wrestler who could act, talk, and command an audience. While his initial roles were modest, a storm was building. Dwayne Johnson had cracked the code of charisma, and he was just getting started. Dwayne Johnson didn't just walk into Hollywood, he smashed through the gates. By the early 2000s, The Rock had already conquered the wrestling world, but Hollywood was still skeptical. Wrestlers had rarely crossed over with success, often reduced to gimmick roles and forgotten cameos. But Dwayne had something different: screen presence, comedic timing, and a work ethic unmatched in the industry. His breakthrough came in 2001's The Mummy Returns, where he played the fearsome Scorpion King. Though his screen time was brief, it left an impression. The success spawned a spin-off, and in 2002, the Scorpion King gave him his first lead role, and a then-record $5.5 million paycheck for a first-time headliner. Dwayne Johnson was no longer just The Rock. He was a rising action star. But the road to full-fledged stardom wasn't smooth. His next few films saw mixed reviews, and he risked being typecast. So he made a bold move. He diversified. From action comedies like The Rundown and Be Cool to family favorites like The Game Plan and Tooth Fairy, Dwayne showed a willingness to poke fun at himself, shed the muscles, and reveal his heart. Then came the turning point. Fast 5. In 2011, Dwayne joined the Fast and Furious franchise as Luke Hobbs, injecting adrenaline and global box office muscle into an already successful series. The role redefined his career, setting the tone for what would become the franchise revitalizer era. Studios began calling him not just to star, but to save major properties. Simultaneously, he voiced Maui in Disney's Moana, delivering not just a blockbuster performance, but a cultural gift. Songs like You're Welcome became global hits, and Dwayne earned praise not just for his vocal performance, but for his commitment to honoring his Polynesian heritage. By the mid-2010s, Dwayne Johnson had become Hollywood's highest-paid actor, a title he would hold multiple times over the next decade. His hits kept coming: San Andreas, Jumanji, Rampage, Red Notice, Jungle Cruise, and Black Adam. What set him apart wasn't just box office power, it was his brand of authenticity. Fans felt connected to Dwayne, not just as a character, but as a person. He shared workout routines, cheat meals, personal reflections, and family moments with millions across social media, building a bridge between fame and familiarity. By 2025, Dwayne Johnson is more than a movie star. He's a global brand, a motivational figure, and a pop culture staple whose name transcends borders. From the squared circle to the silver screen, he didn't just rise, he redefined what success could look like. And the climb wasn't over. It was just evolving. By 2025, Dwayne Johnson's list of accomplishments reads like a blueprint for the modern mogul, an astonishing blend of entertainment dominance, brand-building brilliance, and global impact. Few public figures have ever bridged as many industries, and fewer still have done it with such consistency. At the box office, Johnson is a juggernaut. His films have grossed over $12 billion worldwide, placing him among the top-grossing actors of all time. Whether he's saving the world in Skyscraper, exploring video game jungles in Jumanji, or battling supervillains in Black Adam, Dwayne has redefined what a modern action hero looks like, one who's as charismatic as he is colossal. He's also received several People's Choice Awards, Kids' Choice Awards, and Teen Choice Awards, reflecting his rare ability to connect across generations. In 2021, he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people, not for his acting, but for his leadership, integrity, and ability to inspire. In 2022, Forbes again ranked him among the highest-paid entertainers in the world, with annual earnings exceeding $270 million, thanks to savvy back-end deals, product partnerships, and digital ventures. His career became a case study in crossover success, taught in business schools and dissected by marketing experts. But achievements for Johnson go far beyond the entertainment industry. He co-founded 7 Bucks Productions, a powerhouse company that now produces film, television, and digital content. Named after the exact amount he had in his wallet after being cut from the CFL, 7 Bucks has become a beacon of opportunity for new talent and untold stories. He's also the face of Under Armour's Project Rock, one of the brand's most successful global campaigns. The partnership, featuring training gear, headphones, and performance footwear, has built a fitness empire inspired by his Iron Paradise mentality. And then there's Terramana Tequila, launched in 2020, and now one of the fastest-growing celebrity spirits brands in history. Unlike many celebrity ventures, Johnson is deeply involved in the product's sourcing, branding, and community outreach, reinforcing his ethos of authentic hustle. Whether on screen, in business, or on social media, Dwayne Johnson has proven one thing time and time again: consistency, humility, and hard work never go out of style. His achievements aren't just impressive, they're iconic. And he's not done yet. For Dwayne Johnson, success isn't confined to the box office. Over the years, he's built a sprawling empire of side projects and ventures that reflect his values: authenticity, energy, resilience, and connection. In 2025, his business portfolio reads like that of a CEO, yet every venture still feels personal. At the heart of his entrepreneurial success is Terramana Tequila, his premium small-batch tequila brand. Launched in 2020, it quickly became a global hit. But Terramana isn't just about sipping spirits. It's about celebrating hard work. Johnson promotes it not with flashy commercials, but with backyard toasts, entrepreneurial mentorship, and community giveaways. By 2025, the brand is valued in the hundreds of millions, with distribution in over 40 countries and a cult following. Alongside that, Dwayne is co-owner and ambassador of ZOA Energy, a clean energy drink developed for high-performance lifestyles. Unlike traditional energy brands, ZOA is marketed around discipline and mental focus, not adrenaline alone. He drinks it during 4 a.m. workouts, business meetings, and on-set breaks, and frequently uses his social media to showcase the grind now, shine later mentality it represents. Through his production company, $7 Productions, Johnson continues to shape entertainment from the inside out. The company co-produces many of his films and original streaming content, while also nurturing diverse new voices in Hollywood. He's long expressed his desire to elevate underrepresented communities and tell stories that reflect perseverance, family, and self-belief, themes rooted in his own life. In addition, his long-running partnership with Under Armour has evolved into a fitness ecosystem. His Project Rock line features performance gear worn by athletes, soldiers, and everyday warriors alike. The line includes signature sneakers, headphones, and limited edition collections that routinely sell out within minutes. And in 2025, Johnson's public statements hint at a new venture in media or digital leadership. While details are under wraps, speculation suggests he's developing a motivational content platform, part wellness, part mentorship, part legacy building. From tequila to training gear, film to fitness, every one of Dwayne Johnson's ventures reflects a core principle: earn it. These aren't vanity projects. They're pillars of a brand built from grit, gratitude, and global reach. Dwayne Johnson's lifestyle in 2025 is a balance of epic scale and intimate values, a rare blend of global reach and personal sanctuary. His life is luxurious, yes, but it's deeply rooted in family, discipline, and legacy. When you look inside the world of The Rock, what you find isn't just wealth, it's intentional living. He currently owns multiple estates across the U.S., each uniquely tailored to a different chapter of his life. In Beverly Hills, Johnson's primary West Coast residence sits on a sprawling $27 million compound formerly owned by a music mogul. It features a state-of-the-art movie theater, a full-scale tennis court, multiple kitchens, and manicured gardens with olive trees imported from Spain. The centerpiece? A fully equipped Iron Paradise gym, custom-built and never open to outsiders, his sacred space for daily 4 a.m. workouts. Out east, he owns a massive farm estate in Powder Springs, Georgia. Surrounded by over 45 acres of lush greenery, this southern retreat includes a 14,000 square foot mansion, riding trails, a barn, and tranquil ponds. It's where Dwayne goes to disconnect, reflect, and recharge, often with his wife Lauren and daughters. Here, the loudest sounds are the crunch of gravel under boots and the occasional strum of his ukulele. In 2025, Johnson is also expanding his Hawaiian real estate holdings. Deeply connected to his Polynesian heritage, he's developing a cliffside property overlooking the Pacific Ocean, part family escape, part spiritual homage. The build reportedly includes traditional architectural elements fused with modern luxury, an open-air kitchen, and meditation terraces carved into the land. Each of his homes shares one thing in common: privacy. Despite being one of the most recognized men on the planet, Dwayne is fiercely protective of his inner world. He rarely hosts Hollywood parties, preferring quiet family barbecues, cheat meal feasts, or storytelling nights around a fire pit. His daily life is structured around wellness, connection, and productivity. Whether in Los Angeles or Atlanta, mornings start early, with training, meditation, and business calls often wrapped before sunrise. His daughters have breakfast with Dad, not a superstar, and bedtime stories are often read just hours after global meetings or film shoots. In a world built on appearances, Dwayne Johnson's real estate speaks volumes. He's created not just homes, but strongholds of purpose, where legacy is lived, not just left behind. When it comes to horsepower, Dwayne Johnson's garage roars with power, precision, and personal taste. His car collection in 2025 is nothing short of legendary, an extension of his persona: muscular, high performance, and unapologetically bold. Let's start with his most iconic ride, the Ford F-150 Raptor, a truck as rugged and versatile as the man himself. Custom-built with reinforced suspension, matte black paint, and bulletproof windows, it's his go-to for everyday driving. Off-road capable and intimidating in the best way. This isn't a showpiece. It's a workhorse, just like its owner. But Johnson's love for American muscle goes way deeper. His collection includes a vintage 1971 Chevrolet Chevelle SS, fully restored and modernized under the hood. With its candy apple red finish and chrome detailing, it's not just a car, it's a memory. The Chevelle represents his respect for grit and legacy, a nod to classic power with modern muscle. Also in the garage, a Pagani Huayra. Yes, a hypercar among hypercars. With a price tag north of $2.6 million, this Italian beast features gull-wing doors and handcrafted interiors. It's the opposite of the Raptor. Sleek, silent, and built for speed. Dwayne doesn't drive it often, but when he does, it turns heads on Sunset Boulevard like a moving sculpture. Another standout is his Rolls-Royce Wraith, modified for his massive frame. Johnson stands 6 feet 5 inches and over 260 pounds, so every car in his collection is either built to accommodate or customized to fit. The Wraith is for formal occasions, luxury with muscle under the hood. And of course, there's his private jet, a Gulfstream G650, one of the fastest and most luxurious private aircraft in the world. The interiors? Pure rock, black leather, granite countertops, a small iron paradise corner with weights and a bench, and an onboard media suite for scripts, brand meetings, and downtime movies with the kids. But it's not all speed and power. Johnson also invests in luxury watches, including a curated collection of Audemars Piguet, Rolex, and Panerai timepieces. Many of these are engraved with personal mantras or milestone dates, moments he says are more valuable than any engine. Even his cheat meals are part of the brand. 5,000-calorie pancakes stacked high next to designer dinnerware, all captured for his 400+ million followers. For Dwayne Johnson, luxury is more than a label. It's a symbol of earned success. Every vehicle, every asset, every mile traveled speaks to a man who built his empire one brick and one barbell at a time. Dwayne Johnson is not a politician, but in today's divided world, few voices carry as much cross-cultural weight. Known for his measured tone and unifying presence, The Rock has emerged as a trusted figure in national discourse, someone millions turn to not for sound bites, but for clarity, calm, and conviction. In 2020, Johnson made headlines by publicly endorsing a presidential candidate for the first time, calling for empathy, leadership, and healing amid national unrest. His video, viewed over 20 million times in under 48 hours, wasn't divisive. It was heartfelt. It positioned him as a voice of reason, especially among younger voters and those fatigued by polarized politics. Since then, he's remained politically engaged but nonpartisan, focusing more on values than parties. He consistently advocates for unity, accountability, and respect, often speaking out against racism, injustice, and misinformation. His support for movements like Black Lives Matter, his condemnation of insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, and his call for mental health awareness among men all point to one truth: he uses his platform to build, not to break. In 2024, political buzz resurfaced again. Calls for Johnson to run for office hit a fever pitch. While he's repeatedly said he has no current plans to enter politics, he hasn't shut the door entirely. "If the people want it," he once said, "I'll humbly consider it." For now, in 2025, Dwayne Johnson remains a civic voice, not a candidate. A man who reminds the world that strength and kindness aren't opposites, but allies. If there's one force that fuels Dwayne Johnson more than money or fame, it's discipline. His life philosophy, refined through decades of pain, progress, and perseverance, is built on 3 unshakable pillars: gratitude, work ethic, and self-mastery. Every morning, long before the sun rises, Dwayne is already in motion. His 4 a.m. training sessions in the Iron Paradise aren't just workouts, they're rituals. These daily sessions are where he resets his mind, tests his limits, and primes himself to take on the day with clarity and conviction. To him, Training isn't about vanity. It's about control, a sacred space to battle doubt and stay aligned with purpose. Wellness for Johnson also includes mental fitness. He's spoken openly about his past struggles with depression and now advocates for emotional resilience, particularly for men who feel pressure to suppress their pain. In interviews and on social media, he encourages therapy, mindfulness, and vulnerability, not as weaknesses, but as tools for strength. He practices daily gratitude journaling, often pausing to acknowledge how far he's come. Whether it's a quiet moment before a flight or a thoughtful reflection after filming, he believes in celebrating progress, no matter how small. While his diet is famously clean, chicken, rice, vegetables, and a strategic supplement regimen, he fully embraces his epic cheat meals, which have become legendary on social media. From double-stacked cheeseburgers to stacks of banana pancakes, they represent more than indulgence. They're symbols of earned joy. Spiritually, Dwayne doesn't adhere to one label, but he often references a higher power, the universe, and ancestral guidance. He honors his Polynesian heritage through traditions, tattoos, and values like respect, humility, and service. In 2025, his guiding philosophy is clear: be the hardest worker in the room and the kindest soul outside it. And it shows, not just in the body he's built, but in the life he's shaped with relentless purpose. Beneath the global fame, high-octane workouts, and powerhouse branding lies Dwayne Johnson's most sacred role: family man. In 2025, no matter how many scripts he reads or flights he boards, his heart lives in the quiet, unrecorded moments, at home with the people who know him simply as Dad and Honey. Dwayne is married to Lauren Hashian, a singer-songwriter and the daughter of late Boston drummer Sib Hashian. The couple met in 2006 while Johnson was filming The Game Plan and quietly began building a life of deep partnership and mutual respect. They married in 2019 in an intimate sunrise ceremony on the beaches of Hawaii, an homage to Dwayne's Polynesian roots. Together, they share two daughters, Jasmine, born in 2015, and Tiana, born in 2018. Both girls have become stars of his Instagram feed, not for spectacle, but for the tenderness they bring out in him. Whether he's playing tea party, braiding hair, or being climbed on mid-workout, Johnson radiates joyful fatherhood. He often says that becoming a girl dad made him softer, wiser, and more patient. He also has a daughter from his first marriage, Simone Johnson, born in 2001, with ex-wife and business partner Danny Garcia. Simone is now following in her father's footsteps, debuting in WWE under the ring name Ava Raine. Dwayne is openly proud of her journey, frequently cheering her on with the same energy he brings to his own arena entrances. Despite his schedule, family time is non-negotiable. Even at the peak of his career, Johnson prioritizes school runs, bedtime stories, and Sunday breakfasts. His home life is shielded from paparazzi, not just for safety, but out of deep reverence for normalcy. In his words, fame is rented. Fatherhood is forever. Dwayne's extended family remains central as well. He remains close to his mother, Ada Johnson, whom he often credits with his strength and resilience. She lives nearby and is frequently by his side during milestones, premieres, and family holidays. In 2025, the Johnson household is built not on fame, but foundation, a bond forged in love, trust, and unwavering support. While the world may know him as a superstar, his daughters just know him as the guy who can carry them both and still make it to the kitchen in time to flip pancakes. We all know Dwayne Johnson as the action star, entrepreneur, and gym titan, but behind the iron and intensity are a few unexpected surprises that show just how multi-layered The Rock really is. For starters, he plays the ukulele, and not just a few strums. Johnson picked up the instrument during his time in Hawaii, and it's become a personal tradition during downtime with family. He often breaks into spontaneous performances during vacations or quiet evenings at home, especially when he's tucking in his daughters. He also has a talent for freestyle rapping and musical parody. Whether it's on talk shows or behind the scenes on set, Dwayne has been known to improvise songs on the spot, mixing humor, rhythm, and a surprising knack for rhyme. His 2016 appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, where he performed a Hamilton-inspired rap, still circulates as fan-favorite content. What fans may not know is that Johnson is also a master prankster. On film sets, he's legendary for orchestrating elaborate practical jokes, especially targeting longtime co-stars like Kevin Hart. From hidden whoopee cushions to surprise costumes in trailers, Dwayne uses humor as a pressure release in the high-stress world of blockbuster production. He's also a massive fan of fishing and wildlife documentaries, often quoting facts about animals with encyclopedic precision. It's not uncommon for him to relax after a long shoot with a bowl of oatmeal and a rerun of Planet Earth. And finally, he's admitted to having an obsessive love for pancakes, specifically his famous cheat day stack: 12-inch banana walnut pancakes, peanut butter syrup, and whipped cream. In a life built on discipline and drive, it's these unexpected quirks that reveal something greater. A man who works like a machine, but lives like a dad, a jokester, and a dreamer. For someone whose public persona is built on resilience and positivity, Dwayne Johnson's journey hasn't been without its shadows. But true to form, he's faced each setback not as a derailment, but as a defining moment. The Rock didn't just earn his name in the ring, he earned it by never crumbling under pressure. His earliest setbacks came long before fame. After a promising college football career at the University of Miami, Johnson went undrafted into the NFL. He signed briefly with the Calgary Stampeders in the CFL, only to be cut 2 months later. He was 23, broke, and sleeping on a mattress in a small apartment, just $7 to his name. That failure, he later said, was the best thing that never happened to me. It redirected him toward wrestling, and ultimately to the global stage. His transition to Hollywood wasn't without bumps either. Though he broke out with the Scorpion King, critics initially questioned whether he could really act, or if he'd be another wrestler turned movie gimmick. He answered those doubts with hard work, range, and relentless consistency. Still, some early films like Doom and Tooth Fairy drew criticism, leading to a short identity crisis in his career. He doubled down, pivoted, and turned himself into a box office juggernaut. In the public eye, Johnson has largely avoided scandal, but no celebrity at his level escapes scrutiny. The most visible tension came in the form of a feud with Fast and Furious co-star Vin Diesel. A disagreement over professionalism and creative direction that played out across social media and interviews. While both stars remained tight-lipped on specifics, the rift was enough to keep them from appearing together in F9. By 2025, though, the two have reportedly buried the hatchet, with Dwayne hinting at a future return to the franchise. He's also weathered injuries, torn tendons, fractured bones, and multiple surgeries, both from wrestling and action films. But through every physical setback, Johnson trained harder, recovered smarter, and used pain as fuel. Perhaps most powerful of all is his openness about mental health. In 2018, he revealed his long struggle with depression, especially during his younger years. His vulnerability on the subject helped normalize mental health conversations for millions, particularly among men and athletes. Dwayne Johnson's story isn't one of perfection, it's one of perseverance. He doesn't avoid adversity, he transforms it. Dwayne Johnson's legacy doesn't fit into a single box because he built his own. By 2025, he is more than a global entertainer. He is a living symbol of possibility. A man who rose from instability, rejection, and self-doubt to become one of the most beloved and bankable names on earth. And through it all, he remained relatable, resilient, and real. In the worlds of wrestling, fitness, film, and business, Johnson has not just participated, he's transformed them. In wrestling, he was part of the Golden Attitude Era, injecting personality and mainstream appeal into a world that had often been seen as niche. To this day, chants of The Rock echo through arenas worldwide, and his signature catchphrases have become pop culture canon. In film, he changed the blueprint for action heroes, showing that toughness can coexist with humor, family values, and vulnerability. He became the go-to for franchise rescue, starring in billion-dollar blockbusters while bringing audiences of all ages into theaters. And in business, he built an empire from nothing. 7 Bucks Productions, Project Rock, Terramana Tequila, and ZOA Energy are now global brands with deep emotional equity. These aren't just products, they're lifestyle emblems tied to his ethos of hard work, humility, and hustle. But perhaps his greatest impact is cultural. For the Polynesian community, he is a proud torchbearer, never shying away from his roots, traditions, or tattoos. In Moana, he helped bring ancient stories to a global audience. In real life, he champions Polynesian values like family, honor, and respect at every stage of his journey. For men, especially men of color, he shattered stereotypes, proving that masculinity can be both strong and soft, that a man can lead with kindness, that being vulnerable, expressive, and loyal is its own kind of power. For the next generation, he is proof that your past does not define you, your work does. Johnson's transparency about failure, mental health, and fatherhood makes him not just admired, but deeply trusted. In 2025, murals of The Rock decorate gyms, schools, and city walls around the globe. Not just because of what he's done, but because of what he stands for: possibility, perseverance, and people-first purpose. His legacy isn't a closing chapter, it's a continuing story. A road still being built, mile by mile, rep by rep, moment by moment. From a mattress on the floor in a small apartment to private jets and multi-million-dollar estates, Dwayne Johnson's lifestyle in 2025 is nothing short of extraordinary. But what sets him apart isn't the luxury, it's the legacy. He's built a life that millions admire, not just because of what he owns, but because of who he is: a father, a fighter, a dreamer, and a doer. Every dumbbell in the Iron Paradise, every mile flown in his Gulfstream G650, every dollar earned and given back, each one tells the story of a man who refused to quit, who turned failure into fuel, pain into purpose, and fame into something far more meaningful. In a world that often celebrates shortcuts, Dwayne Johnson chose the long road, the harder road. And he's walked every step of it with gratitude, grit, and grace. So whether you remember him as The Rock, as Maui, or as Hollywood's hardest worker, know this: Dwayne Johnson's lifestyle is a reflection of everything he's earned and everything he continues to give.